right. Hey, everybody. It is good to see so many friendly faces. We got Drew, Fernando, Edward, Richard, Mo, Logan. We got a ton of people in here. So really, really good to see everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Jedi Weller. If you don't know me, I'm the founder of OpenForge. And we are here today to talk to you all about Ionic and Phaser and how to build a platformer game. So you can see we have actually a little animated GIF of the game that we have built for you guys, playing in the background here. So what we're going to do and how we're going to run this is we have two great speakers who are software developers, and they're the ones who have built both the game itself and also the plugin. And we're going to have this as a little bit of a conversation. So we're actually going to show you guys the real code. We're going to be releasing the code after this presentation. And any questions or comments along the way, please ask as we're actually, speaking and talking. Mariana, she's going to be monitoring the chat, and she's going to ping us. I'll be monitoring the chat as well. That way, this can just be like a live conversation. So, yeah, let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, what are we talking about? Creating mobile platformer with Ionic and Phaser. Okay, and we're going to talk about the actual, the architecture of Ionic and Phaser together, why it's such a beneficial combination, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Before we do that, we have a very, very special announcement for all of you in the Ionic community. I'm sure you've seen Ionic Conf 2023 is coming, and we are so freaking excited. I cannot express enough how excited we are. I know the OpenForge team has been waiting for this day for, like 8 years now, I think. So yeah, we're going to be down there. I'd encourage you all to also register and go in person. It's going to be the first in-person event in Austin, Texas, and the dates are October 10th and 11th. So yeah, please go register. I think Mar is putting the link in the chat. We've already registered, and yeah, we're really, really excited. So, all right, look forward to seeing you all there. Okay, so let's get a quick introduction from each of our speakers. So first we have Ricardo Madrid, who is one of our mobile app engineering specialists at OpenForge. So Ricardo, can you come on video and just quickly say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jedi. And I'm glad to be here. I'm Ricardo Madrid. I'm from Honduras. I'm a software engineer here in OpenForge. And yeah, and I'm pretty excited to show you how we did it.
Awesome. And you're going to be talking about which piece of the application or the talk today?
Yeah, today I will be talking about the Capacitor game service plugins. I will go through all the structure and all the new features that we have and all the new features that are going to come here.
Okay, awesome. That sounds fantastic. So that is Ricardo, ladies and gentlemen. And then Ricardo, you can stay on video here, and let's also bring Emmanuel. So Emmanuel is also one of our mobile app engineering specialists here. And Emmanuel, you want to come on and give a quick intro?
All right, thanks, Jedi. My name is Manuel. I'm very glad to be here to sharing the knowledge to you guys, and I will be bringing to the table how you can use Phaser and use all the boundaries that can give us to gamificate your application. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jedi.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Emmanuel. It's excited to have you. All right, and last but not least, so for myself, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm a software engineer as well, and I also focus on the startup and business side and enterprise businesses. So I love speaking about the hybrid of business and technology and mobile applications and how we can use mobile applications to really enhance the world, enhance experiences, and enhance what we can do. So mobile is everything. And last but not least, I definitely want to give a shout out to the OpenForge team because the OpenForge team, they are an amazing group of individuals who they focus on mobile applications. We couldn't do it without the team because they're the ones who make all of this a reality, to be able to build out these sample source codes for you guys, and so that you all can use them. It costs obviously money and time, and they've donated their money, their time for this. So thank you all. All right, and a little bit about just the company. So OpenForge, like I said, we build mobile applications across the world, all different types. We primarily focus on enterprise applications and consumer-driven ones. And yeah, we just mobile. That's what we love. So without further ado, let's get into why we're all here. Let's talk about the Ionic and Phaser combination and the actual game itself. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to show you all the live application, just so you can see what it is that we're actually doing here and talking about. So I think I have the app running. Yep, it is. And I'm just going to refresh here, make sure everything's good. All right, cool. So this app is called Rock the Steps. Rock the Steps is just a simple platformer, and we base it out of Philadelphia because our headquarters are in Philadelphia. So everyone knows, like Rock the Steps, right? And so basically what you can do here is you can see leaderboards, you can see achievements, and you can also play a platform of one of the different locations in Philadelphia. So let's see, Emmanuel, which location should I play here for the demo?
Yeah, I think you can select the first one.
The first one? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And which difficulty should I set?
Yeah, let's go easy.
All right. Thank you, because I was hoping you'd say that. I'm not very good at it. All right, so we can see here we have a couple controls. I'm using my keyboard, and essentially the controls are, you can go left, backwards, you can go forwards, and you can jump over obstacles. If you miss going over an obstacle, your guy's gonna go, ow! Now you guys can't hear the audio, but I can on my side. And you can see that at the end of each of the maps here, the art museum in this case actually pops down. And if you don't make it to it, then you get a screen that says, oh man, you can't hack it, or oh, you're a bum, or XYZ, right? Just like you lost. If you do make it to the end, you're going to get a win screen, okay? And so we're going to show you, how we built this, this different piece. We will be releasing the source code for everyone as well, so that way you guys can actually, learn from this and hopefully use it to further your own projects. Now, important note here, when we talk about games and Ionic and Phaser, right? It's two different technologies. Phaser is built for gaming. Ionic is built for more business applications, but they have a beautiful marriage together, right? And we're actually going to go through and we're going to talk through like what that marriage looks like, okay? And I'll do that very specifically. So going back to the slides here, if we just look at the overall agenda, okay, we're going to talk about Ionic and Phaser, so productivity and time savings, utilizing web development skills, and then I'm going to give a brief overview of the last webinar that we did, but I'm not going to go deep into this one because we already did it. It's recorded and it's on YouTube, so you guys can just subscribe to our YouTube channel, and it'll go more into like the architecture interplay between the two technologies. This webinar is really focused on the actual game itself. So Emmanuel is going to be talking about the Ionic and Phaser implementation, world and scenes, the physics implementation, the collisions, and then also scaling for responsiveness. And then a little bit of memory management and how the update cycle works. And then Ricardo is going to be talking about the leaderboard piece. So the Capacitor game services plugin, we just made this, we just updated it. Was it yesterday, Ricardo? Did we push it live? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, was yesterday.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So we just pushed the latest update live, and it's a work in progress, but we have a lot of functionality already working for everyone. So I know there's been a lot of requests from the community to actually to add some new features, to use latest versions. So yeah, we finally got through a lot of that. So very excited about that. We'll talk about sign-in methods for Apple, achievements, leaderboards, and then using the plugin. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about the benefits of Ionic, all right? So Ionic, free and open source, okay? One code base for all platforms. If anyone saw Apple's announcement yesterday about the web apps, I think we can start removing the P from progressive web apps. And it's super adaptive. It's super quick. I know as a team, we've been using Ionic exclusively for the past 8 years because it makes sense for so many applications. Okay, and on Phaser side, right? The benefits of Phaser is it's game focused. So, but it's still utilizing JavaScript or TypeScript. It's free and open source. It's super extendable, and they have physics engines built in. They have friction, collision detection, all that kind of stuff that you need for game technologies, right? And so let's just show you guys really quick what this kind of looks like in practice from a high level when we look at the actual application, right? If we take this screen, for instance, okay, like this lose screen, this, I think this one is an Ionic screen. Is that correct, Emmanuel?
Yeah, it is.
All right, perfect. So the reason that this is an Ionic screen is because it takes no time at all. Emmanuel, how long would you say it took to build just this screen?
Yeah, it was very a quick development, like an hour or less.
An hour or less, right? So 1 hour to build this entire screen and make it responsive for all the different types of device sizes, okay? That is a huge difference where if you were going to make the same screen using Phaser, right, or other game technologies like Unity, etc., it would take a lot longer to build out these type of screens. There's nothing gamified about this screen. This is really business logic here, right? But if we go back into the gameplay, right, how long would it take you to build this in Ionic, Emmanuel?
Yeah, this is also it takes their time, but it's not very complicated. It contains the boundaries that we can build it very quick as well.
Yep, exactly. So this is built in Phaser, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, perfect, right? So by building this in Phaser, right? Phaser is built for this, and it's built for this, like dynamic gameplay. So it's a lot quicker to build in Phaser this particular scene, right? Than it would be to build this in Ionic, right? Now, I think the overlays, the HUD. What is the HUD in?
Yeah, the HUD is as well created in Phaser, and we were talking about in a brief about it.
Okay, perfect. So we'll dive into that. So that kind of just gives you all an overview of where we kind of draw the lines whenever we're like making recommendations for building out either enterprise applications that are gamified. Think Duolingo or applications like that where they primarily have a business function, but you want engagement from your audience. You want engagement from users. And so gamification is the best way to do that, right? You don't have to rebuild your entire Ionic application to gamify it. You don't have to rebuild your entire Phaser application to make it easier to maintain and have it more be more on a business side. You can combine these two technologies. All right, so that's the overview. And now let's go through and let's actually take a look at the source code. Okay, so before I actually go into the source code, sorry, one thing here is, like I said, the webinar itself that we did on this, it's called Building Mobile Games with Ionic and Phaser. So in that webinar, we go into more detail on the specifics of the architecture between Ionic and Phaser, like pros and cons, etc. This was just a quick 3 to 5 minute, overview for anyone who missed that. And then, yes, there is. And I see Jeff said, is there a link to previous Ionic Phaser? Oh, and I think Edward provided it. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Edward. Awesome. All right, cool. So now let's dive in. And I think we said we're going to start with you first, right, Emmanuel?
Yeah, correct. We were going to step by step from the beginning of the application, how we created this.
Awesome. All right. So take it away. If you want to just tell me where to go, so we don't have to switch back and forth between screens, then I'll go wherever you want. So where should we start?
Yeah, could we please go to the app component so we can start going deeper?
Okay. All right. So this one right here.
Yeah, in the CRC folder, please.
Okay.
open the app component itself.
Okay,
A
app
little
component.
down. Yeah.
Right here. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So right here we are just as normally with the we are displaying an Angular application, and as Jedi mentioned, right now we are using here the boundaries of Ionic to build an application very quick. With this, give us the ability to don't spend too much time creating the screens, just focusing on the real importance of the project. So could you please open the the TypeScript side?
You got it.
Yeah. So right here, just we are going to explain in a brief the game services. Right here, just we are registering all of this stuff. And could you please open the routing one, Jedi, please?
Sure thing.
Yeah. So right here, in a brief, we are defining, as normally we does in an Angular application, defining all our routes that we are going to have in our game, which are the stage select, play stage, where we are going to display the phaser, scene, and the game itself. And we are displaying a finish screen, and the home, the one that you already seen at the beginning, where we can see the splash screen and the selection of the application. So, Jedi, could you please give us what is contained in the stage select screen, please?
Absolutely. Here, I'll hot click into it. All right.
Yeah. Please open the HTML firstly. Yeah. Right here, we just are rendering each stage, which is going to be selectable for the player. And depending on the game points that the user has achieved by their previous games, the player is going to be able to select either or other stages to play. And also,
Is that I just want to make sure I understand where that is in the gameplay here. Let me go back. So is that this screen right here?
Yeah, correct. This is the screen where the user can select the stage, and also once that the user selects the stage, is going to be able to select the difficulty to be played in that stage. So could you please open the TypeScript side, Jedi, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment there, Manuel. If you all see, they're all made in HTML and just like super easy, and just display it just an Ionic component, and that's all. We have not, hard stuff to do. Just if you are a good in front end, it's going to be super easy for you all to create, the scenes, to create all the stuff that you want, and just make the logic on TypeScript. And that's awesome. That's super great to use Ionic.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I'm just kind of commenting what Emmanuel said here. That way, to make it easier for everyone to see. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Thank you. So, all right. So you wanted me to go here? Is that right, Emmanuel?
Yeah, correct. Thank you. So here, as you can see, once the users selects the level to be played, a model will appear. As Ricardo mentioned, we are here creating everything with Ionic, HTML, TypeScript, nothing different than the normal web development. And right here, we are just triggering a model to be displayed, where the user will be able to select the difficulty. And also, once that the user selects the difficulty, we are going to start doing some kind of black magic to start displaying and preparing the phaser scene, which is the game engine singleton billboard, which is performing. Yeah, could you please go deeper? Right here, we are going to create the different objects that can be thrown as obstacles and power-ups in the phaser scene. At this moment, we are still in the same screen of the stage selection, but we are preparing for the phaser to load up. You know that the phaser needs a little time to prepare the assets and all this stuff that needs to be shown once you start playing. So here, what we are doing is we are creating the objects to be obstacles and power-ups, initializing with the respective data where the axis X and Y are going to be displayed. And also, could you please go deeper in the build method, Jedi of the World? Yeah, thank you. So depending on the user selection, we are going to either construct daytime level, sunset level, or a night level. And given this, we are going to also be able to render dynamically in the phaser scene the background and the obstacles and so on. Because in the phaser side, we are not going to render all the time same objects or same background. We are going to do this some kind of dynamic so the user can see differences between each stages. So, and now we are going to start talking about the other side of the application, which is phaser. So, Jedi, could you please enter to the play stage component?
Play stage component. Yeah, play stage component. There. This one?
Yeah, thank you. Right here, this component is not performing any HTML functionality to display to the user. It's just working as a behind-the-scenes worker that is going to initialize our phaser scene, and also is going to start preloading the assets depending on the selection of the stage. So could you please open this dot init stage scene in the line 21, please?
Yep, totally. And just to confirm I understand correctly, and for the audience, so you're saying, Manuel, that this component right here is not actually displayed here. Is that correct?
It is displaying, but not showing any HTML. We are just displaying the phaser. You know that as we mentioned in the previous webinar, if we display phaser as a part of the component, Angular is going to be crazy. So right now we are switching over phaser side, and with that we are going to be able to manage better the event and the Zone.js communication to don't overload with a lot of triggers second by second.
Yeah, that's a really important part, and I would definitely recommend, if you haven't seen the other webinar, to check that out, because basically what happens is Phaser has a change detection cycle that operates, I think, at 60 frames per second, so 60 times a second, and then Angular also has its change detection cycle, right? So when they both are intertwined, every time Phaser does one update, right, of 1/60th of a second, it triggers all of Angular's detection and vice versa. And so it would just basically cause an infinite loop that will crash your user's device. And we actually bricked one of our computers when we were discovering this. So yeah, it has to be outside of like the Angular zone. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you. All right, so where do you want me to go?
Yeah, could you please go deeper to the init station?
Absolutely.
And right there inside the phaser singleton init. Right here, we are just configuring how phaser is going to behave. Just a small differences from the previous webinar is that right here we are defining new things that you can learn as well once that we release the code, is that you can see that we have defined multiple scenes right here, one which is the world scene, another which is a pause scene. I wanted to mention here this because it's one of the things that probably you can face once that you start developing gamifiable applications, because every time the user needs to pause the game in order to perform another action, either respond a message or a call, etc. So in Phaser, you cannot perform everything in the same scene. You need to create different scenes depending on what you want to display or what you want to behave. And also, as I mentioned previously, we cannot perform the entire application in a Phaser scenes. Yeah, we can, but it's going to be more time needed in order to develop that. And right here, doing this, we are maintaining the logic on Phaser inside of Phaser to don't have things of the scene out of the scene, etc. So here we define the world scene and the post scene. Could you please go a little bit into the post scene, Jedi? So here, as you can see, here is where you can see literally how the differences on the difficulty is create a UI with Phaser and create a UI with Ionic. So here you need to do it in the old school way that you need to define from the the axis X and Y where the fields are going to draw up, the colors, etc. It's not very complex, I know, but it's going to take more time if you instead of doing it with Ionic. So
and it's harder to see too, right? Like when you're debugging, right? Like you can't really just click into here and see where this is. You have to actually do it via the code, right?
Yeah, because all of these things, what Phaser does is creating a canvas. So doing the bugging a canvas when you are drawing an interface is very complex instead of doing it with HTML. That is where the things go harder. So could you please go back to the component, Jedi?
Yeah, I had to win first, I couldn't end on a lose.
Yeah. So at the scroll a little bit down, please. So right here, you can see that we are having two different functions, one which is resume game and another which is go to main menu. What we are doing is that we are switching between scenes back and forth depending on the user selection. If the user opens the pause menu, is going to switch over the pause scene. And once the user clicks on resume, is going to switch back again to the world scene. Could you please just open the pause menu once you finish it, Jedi, so the user can see the dialogue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
And pause. Oh. Yeah. So here, even that the world scene is still showing behind, we are applying a second scene as an overlay, which is displaying this pause menu. And the user, once they select either continue or main menu, is going to switch either to the main scene or exit to the main menu as the second option is given. Right here, just to mention a quick key on how this is behaving. Can we go back to the code, Jedi, please? Mm-hmm. As you can see, we are using a bridge to communicate from Phaser scene to the Ionic application, because is this a common question that, hey, and how I'm going to tell my Ionic application to move out to a different template or so, because we are not having the same boundaries as an Angular application inside of the scene. So what we are doing here, we are creating a singleton class that can work as a listener with their own observable that we can send either the respective option that the user has faced if he is selecting to exit the game, or if he already won, or if he already lose. So we are sending this as a bridge, the selection or the result of the user, in this case is the game enum.exit. And this, could you please go back to the play stage component, Jedi, please?
The play stage component? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the previous stuff. Yeah. Scroll a little bit up. So here we are receiving these values that we are sending as a bridge. And in this case, we are evaluating depending of the user selection. In this case, if the user finish and we receive as a query param that they win, we are navigating to the finish screen, but with a different image to be shown. And also the second one, which is the one that right now we are using for the pause. Once that the user clicks exit, we are navigating to the home screen. And this is how we can manage the different worlds of Phaser and Ionic to be able to communicate. We can send also, we are using it, we are not talking about too much on it, but in the same way that we are doing this, we are doing the same for the points achieved the user in the current level when he finishes the entire stage to be played. So can you please go back to the code, Jedi, where we were showing the configuration, which is in the in the init stage scene in the line 21.
21, yeah.
Yeah, and inside of the init. And also in this webinar, we are talking about another specific functionality that Phaser gives us, which is the gravity, the 5.6. Can you please scroll a little bit down? Yeah, from line 95, you can see that we are defining the style of the game, which is going to be arcade, and also the amount of the gravity that is exists on the y-axis, and the second one is just a flag to the book in case that we needed to verify how is behaving the objects in the scene. So depending of the user, the developer, if they increase the Y value, is going to be faster.
Woo!
Or yeah, and it's going to be like a moonwalk, depending on how you modify it to less or to more. The gravity here, and also this will help us to, as you can see, to drop the objects into the floor where the player needs to be jumping over them. And let's move on to the other topics to be discussed, and the ones that are going to be shared. The other points that we are already configuring here, we are already talked about in the other webinar. We are already using them right there. So can you please go back, sorry, to switch over the world scene file? Yeah, thank you. So to don't repeat the things, just remember that the phaser contains callback functions, which is a preload where the assets are going to be low. Scroll a little bit, please.
Oh,
right here, yeah, we are doing the stuff that I was mentioning. Depending on the user selection, we are going to dynamically display the background. If it's going to be a sunset one, a daytime, or night, we are going to receive the values from the game singleton world that we mentioned previously. And we are going to load as well some kind of diverse stuff, which is the sprites of the user, some objects that has sprites animation as well. And this is more just to prepare everything that you are going to display in the game. So can you scroll a little bit down? Mm-hmm. In the create, we are going to prepare all the objects that needs to be ready before we start detecting their movement or their collisions, which is a thing that we are going to talk in a second. And this is because we are going to need to prepare all these variables that we are going to use to detect the collisions, the movement of the player, and so. And in this case, could you please go to the update callback, please, Jedi?
Yeah, update function, here we go.
Here we are performing diverse of things. We are calculating the points, which depending on the user progression is going to be increasing each frame. There's nothing complicated.
And that's this piece right here, right?
Yeah, correct. Every time frame, every frame that has been refreshing, we are increasing just a counter. Right here.
Question. Oh, I'm sorry. A question for you. For this, is there a pro or con for a developer to make this counter be phaser versus like an ionic overlay on top of phaser?
Yeah, we can, in this case, we can do both because it's just like nothing else that display an overlay right there. So we can do both, but when using or we're having interaction, it probably is depending of the situation, we can use one or other, depending if it's just to send a message or something like that, we can use phaser. But when we need that behavior from the entire application, we need to do it with an Ionic. This is the key part that we need to remember all the time to don't complicate ourselves too much.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's an important point. And I know the three of us were having a conversation about this like last week. You know, when we talk about how you as a developer, like for anyone in the audience, how you're going to architect this, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. You know, in here, like Emmanuel said, we have this as a phaser counter, and this these components are each phaser. In other mobile games that we built, we've actually used it as an ionic overlay. So what we can do is, you know, have it be like absolute positioning where even though it's a phaser scene in the canvas in the background, you can just put a web component on top of it. And that way you get that, you know, the same functionality. There's pros and cons to both, right? So it's really just more of a preference. The one thing that I know, like I've personally found is a limitation of doing it in phaser is this here. Let me go down to it. So we can see here that we have the canvas. So that means that like if I'm using my debugger, my inspector, I can't go deeper into this here, you know, to change the sizing of this button. If it was a web component, I could, right? I could just do that live. So, you know, make your own decisions, right? But you know, just understand the pros and cons of each. Awesome. Sorry about that, Manuel. I just want to expand upon that.
Yeah, no problem. So can you please open the third function, which is the evaluate movement? Right here, we do a normal evaluation of depending of the user click or either key press, depending if he's playing on the computer. We are setting some flags and applying the movement or with the velocity if he's moving on Y axis or X, and we are going to also be able to detect, depending on this flag, how we are going to display a specific animation. For example, in the line 520, once that we've crashed into another object, we are showing the damage animation. And also,
this is built in phaser, right? Like this is a phaser function.
Yes, correct, phaser. And if it's doing a normal behavior, we are playing again the walking animation. So can we go back to the update, please, so we can talk with the remaining important points to finish in time. So please open the object creation function.
Object creation, you got it.
Yeah. So right here, we are constructing all kind of obstacles that the user will see and needs to avoid, or if we are displaying power-ups to be used. A key to mention here, don't explain too much and confuse a lot, is that the very important point is that once that we start using physics in our game, we need to define against which element these objects are going to collide to. In this case, can you scroll a little bit down? Yeah, thank you. So for example, in the line 328, yeah, the very last one, we are defining that the floor will be a collider for the object group. So every time that we create an object to be avoided, or if it's either a power up, we are telling that this object needs to be or needs to collide to the floor and don't go to the infinite into skipping the floor and going down, down, down. So we are telling that once that he reaches the floor, he is going to remain in this place. And as well, we are going to mention that the object itself is going to affect the player if he collides with him. But right now we are going to move to another important point, which is the memory. Always when doing this kind of infinite creation of objects, we need to be very careful of how we are handling our memory to don't increase a lot by multiple objects being created. So could you please scroll a little bit down, Jedi, please? Yeah. No, a little up.
Oh, okay.
No,
This one?
no, you was fine. You was fine. You just scroll a little bit down, more, a little more.
Clean of objects?
Yeah, right
Gotcha.
here, as you can see, we are doing a kind of cleanup. After we enter these objects in our object group, and every time that the update function gets executed, we are evaluating if this object has been off of the screen. If that is the case, there is no sense to maintain this object in memory and consume more of resources, because remember that we are creating this for a mobile. In a mobile application, is very important to don't spend or exceed the resources of the cell phone, because we don't know if they are going to have a low memory phone or they are going to have an iPhone or
you're
something
talking
like
about
that.
You're talking about this, right? Like when the trash can or the tourist leaves, right?
Go off, yeah. Once that they go off of the screen, those objects are not existing anymore, because in the code we are telling that once that this object has been containing a negative X amount of pixels, we need to remove from the world, and we are destroying the entire object, so they are not consuming memory in the application. And also the last key part that I'm going to share with you guys is the how we are handling here the hood that Jedi was mentioning right here. Can you please scroll to the top, Jedi?
Yeah.
Where the preload method was displaying. Yeah. Right here, we just are creating a sprite that you can see is the health bar, the line 134. And what it is doing is we are displaying a sprite that is showing that the full size of the health, in this case, is a cheese steak, which is referring to the health of the player. And once that the user gets affected by obstacle or so, we are just displaying in a specific frame of this sprite. This can be visualized in the go to the update again, Jedi, please.
Okay, update. Oh, if I can spell update, there we go.
Yeah, scroll a little. Is the object detection, please? The previous
detection.
Scroll a little bit down. Yeah, here you can see that if we pick up a cheese steak in the line 356, we are heading up to the player. And could you please go inside of the hill up? Yep. And as I already mentioned, we are having a variable. Well, this didn't mention, but how we are handling is that we have this counter that is going to be reducing time each time that the player crashes with different obstacles, just to make sure that once the player reaches 0, we are going to redirect it to the loose screen. The second line is to set the texture, which I was mentioning, that depending of the health remaining, we are going to display in a specific frame of this sprite, which is like the simulating all the bits that is decreasing the size of the health. And at the end, also we are destroying in the line as well the memory consumption key that we were mentioning. We are doing for the power ups. We are destroying the cheese steak to don't consume memory, because we don't need to display anymore. We don't need to do that kind of visible faults or something like that. We are going to remove it totally from Phaser. And as well, we are going to remove it from the word object group. And I think with this, we are finishing the key part that I wanted to share with you guys, just to have time remaining for Ricardo to share the game services plugin, which is also an important key part. And thanks, guys, for letting me share this information to you. Remember that this code will be available to you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. All right, whee! Everyone can give a round of applause silently at home. All right, so let's take just a quick minute. If anyone has any questions or anything that you want Emmanuel to expand into a little bit further. I know we covered a lot there. Like I said, we will be making this open source so you guys can actually see this code. But we want to make sure we have the opportunity to actually talk through anything with you, that you might have questions about. So, and I see you're all getting some applauses in the chat, Emmanuel. So that's awesome. And you guys will notice that I was just making some like extra comments, adding stuff that that Emmanuel was speaking about. One thing that you'll note, and I forget where it was here. Here we go. Yeah, so we have these console logs commented out. You can, because they're going to like kind of infinitely span the game. When we talk about this piece, I'll show you here, the world creation. That's great. Where's the create? Here we go. World scene, preload. All right, and then create. So we set the backgrounds. Okay, so this background is the guy behind it, and it's infinitely scrolling. And all these objects, they're being created dynamically, as Emmanuel said. So just remember that, like when you're adding console logs and that type of thing, if you just leave this running and you extend it out to be a longer game, because we made this just very, very short for this demonstration, it's going to add a lot of objects. So that cleanup function is very, very important. All right, cool.
Yeah, just an extra comment. Those consoles that you will appreciate right there, I leave them, so whenever you take the code, you will be able to track down. If you comment, just remember to comment again, because it's not, they are going to be very noisy, as I mentioned. But these were intentionally left right there, so you can see how the objects are being created depending of random detection of which next object are going to be created, and how is colliding to the player to be reducing or applying the power up. So yeah, just a quick mention. Thank you, Jedi.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good point. And here we can see here what Emmanuel is talking about live. It's a lot of comments, but it is definitely important for debugging. So, all right, awesome. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. So Ricardo, let's jump over to you, and let's talk a little bit about the capacitor plugin, and specifically, I think the capacitor implementation, right? So where would you like us to start? Like, where do we hook up the capacitor plugin?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jedi, and thank you, Manuel. Well done. As a heads up, our Capacitor Game Service plugins is a plugin just for manage, the game center from Apple and the game center from Android. So, well, first of all, you need to do an npm install, just like other plugins, which is going to install all the dependencies for our plugin, and it's easy to use. We have, updated our documentation on how to use it. But first of all, what you need to know is that Capacitor Game Center's plugins do the sign-in method just like automatically for us. So you need to sign in a user every time, or at least Apple needs it every time you enter to the application. So first of all, you need to go to the app component, because there is where all the works.
Okay.
So if you go to the app components, Jedi,
Okay, there you go.
you will see that we have a sign-in game service method. So all you need to do is that we create some service actions. So Jedi, if you go to the game service actions,
The plugin is called, sorry. Oops, there you go. All right. And then in here.
Yep. So you will have, it's easy to use. You are going to import. If you go to the top of the file, Jedi, you are going to see that we import game services as from the OpenForge Game Services plugin, and all you need to do is just since it's a promise method, you need to wait to finish the process. So you are going to wait for the game service signing. So all you need to do is just the sign-in method, call the sign-in method, and that's it. That's all. Your Apple and Android will in charge of send the view to the Ionic application itself, and then sign in the user. That will be all to the sign-in method. Then we have some.
Oh, and I just want to make a quick comment here, because we were just talking about this morning. So this game services is for Android. Game Center is for iOS, right? For Apple, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and so we're actually playing with the idea of maybe changing the name for this, because I think we're even though this is called Game Services right now, this is actually for iOS and Android, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone has any ideas, we're debating, like, should we change the name of the plugin, to be Game Services and Game Center, or should we make two different plugins? We personally like having a single plugin, but since Apple and Android call it something different, we don't know what to call it. So if anyone from the community has any ideas, please let us know, because we're actively talking about that right now.
Yeah, one of the hardest part to be a developer is naming your project property or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, right.
To do a demonstrations, I have the application running in my devices. So if you look, it says like I have signed in into the Apple Game Center. So it will be automatically in terms of in terms of development. So if you go, Jedi, to our documentation, you are going to have the methods that are currently available for the plugin. So we have submit a score. This method is going to be used when you want to, when you have a leaderboard and you want to submit a score for a user. Maybe we have the submit score functionality when a user finish a stage. So when he wins a stage, we submit the score that he won. So we are having the leaderboards functionality for that. And yeah, then we have the unlock achievement in case you want to reward your user with achievements. We have showed achievements that show the view controller for the achievements, and where the user is going to see how many achievements he or they have, how many achievements they scored, and all that other parts. And we have all other functions that is going to be updated for a better use. For a progress achievement is just you need, if you have an achievement that is eat 100 bread. So if the user plays and eats, 3 breads, you use progress achievements to let them know that the user completes 3 of 100 breads. Yeah, in case you want to reset all the shipment progress, you have the functionality there. Yeah, that's all that we have. But yeah, let's talk about what's coming next.
All right,
We
sure.
have
All right, so yeah, what is going next?
Yeah, we have a lot of features coming in the couple weeks. So we are planning to get user total scores or the points that they have, because right now the plugin just let you know the leaderboard's total players that we have. We are going to have the functionality to get the user's total achievements completed, just like the game services plugins show you. We are going to implement an easy way to get the user information in case you want to store the ID, in case you want to store the name of the user, and we are going to create the ability to sign out a user from the Apple Game Services plugin. Right now, we don't have it because it is automatically signing out a user when you close the application. So that's why we need to sign in a user every time the user enters to the application. So it's going to be a fun integration of these features, and we want to ask you if we need to implement anything else for the coming futures.
Yeah.
And that will be all for the Capacitor Game Service plugin. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and that really is a question for everyone in the community. So, is there anything else that you guys would like us to build out for the capacitor plugin? We really want to build, and prioritize what people are actually using. So, there's a lot of different functionality in both Game Center and Game Services. So, yeah, it's really up to you guys. And then, oh, it looks like we're getting votes from Todd, Cecilia, Michael, and let's see, who else? Leon. Yeah, for Leon's Game Factory suggestion here. So maybe we won't be renaming this the Game Factory, although Pluggy McPlugin does sound good too. All right, cool. So Ricardo, if we go to the let's see, so npm package, it's listed right here. And we can see, the instructions that you were talking about. So yeah, feel free to use this, everyone, and feel free to go to the repository to make any requests directly, or to post up any issues. We'll try to respond to stuff as soon as we can. And trying to think anything else. Are we going to do I think we're going to do another webinar that's going to be more specific for the capacitor game services and the plugin. Is that right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, would you guys like to see that, everyone? I think I might like to see that.
Maybe with the next features already done.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That could be fun. All right. So let's see. All right. So then let's talk. Oh well. First off, yeah. Thank you, Ricardo. So a little round of applauses for Ricardo, everyone. And yeah, I think this is a great overview. We'll definitely want to go more in depth on the capacitor game services plugin itself. So yeah, I think we can have like a whole conversation specifically for that. In terms of questions, comments, and I know we're at time here, so if anyone has to pop off, feel free. We just only had actually 3 more things, which are all probably like 4 minutes total. So we just have a couple more minutes. But are there any specific questions for Ricardo or for Manuel? If there are, please post them. Oh, yeah, it looks like there are. So we have, how have you guys dealt, this is by Drew, how have you guys dealt with font size within the Phaser game? So is it like CSS or actual pixel density?
If you are using Phaser, you can use the scales options and just put the font size directly into Phaser. But if you are doing just like the score points that we have using with Phaser. If instead of you are using Ionic, you can use CSS as well, and it's up to you. It's depending on how it's going to be used.
Okay, cool. Does that answer your question, Drew? It looks like yes, maybe. All right, cool. And then we also have Cecilia had asked, are there any examples or resources with Vue? I think we have, don't we have a Vue game app?
Yep, we have Ionic monorepo. I think we did it with the Open Farm, isn't it? No.
It's Open Farm with Vue. Let's see. This one is the puzzle games with Angular. Yeah, because I know we do have a Vue one. I'm trying to think which one it was. We have this Ionic Vue Capacitor. Is it a different one?
Yeah, it's a different one. I think that is the Ionic Phaser monorepo.
Ionic Phaser monorepo. Let's go back here. Ionic Phaser. This one?
That one, yeah. If you go, yep.
Oh yeah, I do remember this one. So to answer your question, Cecilia, yes, we do. And not only do we have it in Vue, we also have it in React and Angular. So if you guys check out the OpenForge, parent repository, we made this a template actually, and we launched this. I think was it like last month we updated this to have all three. So basically, we wanted to be able to showcase to the community, the exact same application rewritten in Ionic, Angular, and Vue. So this template has all three, right? I'm sorry, Ionic, Angular, Vue, Angular, React, and Vue. My coffee's wearing off. So yeah, so this template has all three, and hopefully that will help you guys out. Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, we did one a long time ago. This was years ago. Back when like people were still questioning the performance for web applications versus native. We had actually built the exact same application in native iOS and the exact same application in Ionic, and we did a performance comparison. And for business applications, there was like zero performance difference. So it's really cool. When you see the two different applications side by side, same app, same functionality, different source code, you can really, explore, what makes one tick, what makes the other, what are the pros and what are the cons. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Let's see. Do we work with Rich? No, I don't think so. I think we built, did we, Ricardo? Photon Storm?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we just built that one out. But yeah, happy to work with Rich though.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of working together, how can you guys contribute? So, like I said, we're going to be making this source code, open source, and so feel free to contribute. Any game mechanics, improvements, etc. This is going to be one of the applications that we are going to be showcasing at the Ionic conference, right? So we're going to be extending it out a little bit, adding some new cities, making it a little more interactive. So if you guys want to contribute to that, please do. We just want people to have fun. We're also going to have some other really cool demonstrations and displays at the Ionic conference, so please come check it out. We're really, really excited for it. And we'll have a giant touchscreen so everyone can just kind of play right there. And yeah, maybe we'll do some competitions for some of the different apps. We also have another application that's out here. This is the puzzle game. So this is kind of like Candy Crush. We built this out. So if you guys want to build a Candy Crush type mobile application, check this one. And there's also a video for this on our YouTube channel. And yeah, speaking of which, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So after this webinar, we're going to be basically going through, we're going to be updating everything and then pushing it live. And then we'll be posting not only the webinar, but also links to all of the resources, including like the repository, the slides, everything we got, we'll be posting it here. So, please subscribe, please share. We love your support there. It means a lot to us. And if you have any questions along the way, just comment on the videos themselves or comment on the repositories, and we're happy to help. And Mar, is there anything that I am forgetting or anything else that we want to talk about?
No, I think you've got all covered. I don't know if the audience has any other question.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, once, twice, and sold. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, on behalf of everyone at OpenForge, thank you guys so much, and we will see you for the next one. So talk soon. Thank you, Ricardo, and thank you, Emmanuel and Mar.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all, guys. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone. Bye.